Hey everyone, my name is Jess and welcome to our channel. So as you may know, normally on our channel we do sewing tutorials, but today we're going to do something a little bit different. So I know that I like to craft and I know that some of you like to craft, and sometimes it's nice to have a break in between those larger projects to do a small craft project. So I've compiled some fun projects all inspired by our new applique bat templates, which is a free download on our website, or you can purchase the pre-cut pieces so that way you're ready to go. Also for this video, I took a trip to our local Dollar Tree and thrift store and used Sallie tomato fabrics and supplies to create some fun, unique projects. So let's dive right into the tutorials.
This first project is super easy and it's trending all over social media right now. Wall bats are very popular for decorating inside your home and also on your front porch. Simply download the free template on our website, trace it onto your fabric, and cut out as many bats as you like. Otherwise, we do have pre-cut bats available in 3 sizes. I just used some double-sided tape that's safe for the wall and put a small piece on the wrong side of each bat and stuck it to the wall. This decor idea is also great for kids. They love to see the bats on the wall. I know my boys laughed when they saw how I decorated. And also then it's out of their reach for those little hands. Of course, this bat template and pre-cut designs could be used on your sewing projects. You could add them to quilts, wall hangings, bags, all sorts of Halloween projects. The next project we're going to make is a bat terrarium. So I found this terrarium at the Dollar Tree, which I thought was a really good value for $1.25. Then I cut out some bats using the free download on our website. I have 2 small bats and then 1 medium bat. I grabbed some twigs that I found outside, and then I have a bag of moss that I also got from the Dollar Tree. First I started with the twigs and I test fit to see if they would fit correctly inside the top of the terrarium. You can break off branches or even add branches with some hot glue. And then there was actually a little hole at the base of the terrarium, which was really convenient for me to push the stick through and add some hot glue around the underside and at the base. I actually decided to glue on a few more branches to get the look that I wanted, to make sure that I had enough branches to space out the bats how I wanted. The 2-inch wide bats fit better inside the terrarium, but I did want to add a larger one just to see how it would look. So I ended up adding some glue along the wrong side center and folding it in half to make it look like it was flying. So I positioned the largest bat first and then I glued the smaller bats in place. I did carefully peel away the bats and re-glue them a few times just to make sure that the wings weren't bent when the top of the terrarium was in place. So you might have to reposition a few times to make sure that it fits correctly. Then add some hot glue all around the inside of the base and place your moss on top and just gently tap it down to hold that in place. And this will also hide that hot glue that we added around the base of the twig, so that way it hides that hot glue. And here is how it turned out. I staged this in my entryway next to some vintage books and some other DIYs that I've done. I think it looks really spooky and authentic. And I love how cheap it was to make, being that it was only $1.25 and then a few scraps. Next, I want to show you how to make a simple stamp using our pre-cut bat applique pieces. So here I have 2 sizes of bats, some cardboard, hot glue, and scraps of heavy stabilizer. You'll want to start by adding the heavy stabilizer to the wrong side of the bat. You'll want to cut pieces to get as close to the edges as possible. Since I'm just using scraps, I'm just going to cut up every little bit that I can to get to the pointed tips of the bat wings and the ears. Again, you'll want to make sure that you cover as much of the wrong side as possible. because when you're using the stamp, you'll want to make sure that those details and all the edges transfer onto the material that you're stamping. So if you do have a larger piece of heavy stabilizer, you may want to just trace the entire bat itself and cut it out exactly to have the most accurate, detailed stamp possible. So once you have the wrong side completely covered with the heavy stabilizer, you'll want to position your bat on a piece of cardboard and just roughly cut about the same size and shape of your piece. Then cover the wrong side of your stamp piece with hot glue and glue it to your cardboard. I wanted a handle on my stamps so they're easier to grab, so I just cut a few more squares of cardboard and hot glued them. I did 2 layers so it was easier to hold the stamp. I think these turned out super cute, and you could certainly do this with other shapes and appliques to create your own designs. I'm going to use the small one for a project right away using our free throw pillow pattern on our website, so I already have my pieces cut. I laid out a large piece of scrap paper, just something that I had left over from a shipment that I got in the mail, so reusing that. I have the front piece of my pillowcase, a paintbrush, and I'm using soft matte fabric paint. The fabric paint says to brush the paint on, so I took my brush and I just painted all the way to the edges as much as I could on my bat stamp, and then I positioned it and pressed down evenly on my fabric. So this stamp will give more of a distressed look. I actually like the vintage worn look, so I just continue to paint my stamp and then position it in various places and different angles on the front of my pillowcase. I think this stamp could be used in a variety of ways. You could stamp your own fabric, cut it up and sew it into a custom bag design for Halloween. You could stamp some clothes in your closet to give them a fresh look for fall and Halloween. So once I had my pillowcase front completely covered in bats, I let it dry for a few hours, and then I followed the rest of the instructions on our blog for how to finish up this pillowcase, and here is how it turned out. For this last project, I grabbed a hanging sign from the Dollar Tree and a bag of faux pearls from the Dollar Tree. So my plan was to create a Halloween sign for my front door. I started by using Loctite glue to adhere the pearls around the outside. This was taking quite a while and the glue wasn't drying very quickly, so I decided to switch over to my hot glue gun and add the pearls that way. Then I took some light gray spray paint and coated the entire front of the sign in the pearls. While that was drying, I went inside and brought out my brother's Scan and Cut to cut a Happy Halloween design for the front of my sign. I love using the Brother Scan and Cut. It's super easy, so I simply just printed out some text that I found on Canva. So it's a free website. They have lots of graphics. I love using Canva. So I started up my machine, turned it on, placed the printed Halloween design on my cutting mat, loaded the cutting mat into the machine, select Scan, Scan to cut data, and then push Start. The machine will scan the entire mat. Once the scan is done, you can make any adjustments. So my scan picked up on a lot of debris that is stuck to my cutting mat, so I just shrunk down the window so it was just viewing my design. Once it was how I wanted it, then I clicked Save to the machine, went back to the home screen, unloaded my mat, removed the paper from my mat. Then I added my faux leather with the front side face down, so the backing of the fabric should be face up. I did add a few pieces of our washi tape around the outside edges because my mat isn't very sticky anymore, so the washi tape will help hold it in place. I loaded the mat into the machine, selected Retrieve Data from the machine, scrolled all the way down to the last design in the machine, which was my most recent design. Selected that, push OK, and the design will import all in separate pieces. So you'll want to go into Edit and select all and group the design so you can move it to where your fabric is located on the mat. After that, you'll want to do a test cut. So continue through the machine, click Test, grab a pin, and remove the piece that test cut and double check that it cut through all the layers cleanly. So if you're happy with the test cut, you're ready to start cutting the design. If not, you may have to go into the settings and make some adjustments. Since I am cutting faux leather, it is a thicker material, so I did have to raise the rollers a bit so that way it cut nicer under the machine. So this design took about 8 minutes to cut out. Once it was done cutting, I just removed all the scraps and I hot glued my Happy Halloween cutout and my bats cutouts to the front of my sign. And here is how it turned out.
So I'm curious to know, what did you think of these projects? Do you like having some craft projects incorporated with the sewing projects? Do you want to see more Dollar Tree DIY projects and thrift flips? Let us know in the comments. And if you like this video, give a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you won't miss out on any future videos. I'll see you next time.